Great. Well, welcome to our next or in our latest virtual open mic. And today I have three of our bloggers who are going to share their funny stories. And this will be a good chance to get to know them and also just to kind of share just a love of humor. And so we're very lucky to have all of them here today. My name is Olivia Clark. I'm the founder of Humor Beats Cancer. And I really enjoy hearing and seeing all of your stories and sharing them and kind of creating this community around weird, dark, funny, odd humor and how you can use it when you're dealing with cancer. So let's get it started. Shay, I think you're up first. So we're going to try my technical side of things and for you to get started then. And let me mute everybody. Okay, Shay, you are up. So Shay, let's see if you're.
Yes.
Okay,
Hi.
great.
All right. Hi, I'm Shay Chawla. I'm based here in Carlsbad, California. I was diagnosed at the age of 40 with lobular carcinoma grade 2. Um, and just my story here goes is turning 40 usually means, planning that special getaway with friends or making a bucket list of what your next decade is going to look like. Well, for me, it was actually planning how I was going to survive and live through to see my young kids go through college. Lobular sneaky carcinoma actually attacked my body. Media says mammogram saves boobs. Do they? Well, I had a clear mammogram 3 months prior to diagnosis. So this news was it totally threw me off, like I can say. Statistics say 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, and at that moment when you read that, you think, oh, it's never going to be me. Breastfeeding saves boobs, they say. Well, I breastfed both my kids for over 6 months. So my story was late September of last year, a few months after I turned 40, my body was signaling me, I would say. I didn't have a doctor's appointment scheduled, nothing, but there was just something telling me that something was off. So I went to see a new OBGYN because I didn't have an OBGYN. And basically, it all began from there. And they asked me to go for an ultrasound. And so I believe that our mind and bodies are connected, and we have to listen to them for whatever signs they give us and not ignore them. And that's, I think, my mantra is going to be that for now. So today, after 2 surgeries, I had a lumpectomy initially, and then I had a double mastectomy in February of this year. I'm still waiting for my final, exchange surgery due to COVID. Obviously, that was put on hold, but I'm hoping it happens. Hoping it happens this year. Losing your boobs is a feeling no one can ever explain, describe, or even imagine. For women, that's her sex appeal, and it totally throws you off. It's like imagine seeing a Victoria's Secret advertisement with no boobs, no cleavage, or sexy dresses. So all I wanted to do was just hide in my baggy sweatshirts and in my pajamas, even on a warm California evening. But I see the flip side. I don't have to buy bras now forever. I have a built in bra in my body. So my bra expenses are going to be nil for the future. It was a crazy few months, I would say, but I think at that time I was determined to not let it dictate my life. I have very young kids, and looking at them, it just made it harder looking at them every single day. And it was, I would say, people say it's positive. I don't think it was always positive for me. Today, on the flip side, I can say that it's changed. I just remember this one evening, my husband comes home and he says that, you know what, forget all these stories and whatever people are saying. We're going to beat it, we're going to fight it, and we're going to get rid of it. Pre-cancer, I think I was getting a little complacent about my body, my health. I think I was taking a lot of things for granted. So I feel like this was like an eye-opening for me, and I today see that it was a positive side that has brought to my life. I'm healthier. I am 30 pounds thinner. And I hope I don't ever go back to that old life. Um, Research became my new hobby, I think, after breast cancer. So I researched everything, our products and cleaning supplies and everything, how I'm going to change my life, and not only for me, for my family, for the next generation. Um, so like you said, I thought I was smart. I had an MBA degree, but I think today is when actually when I wake up every single morning, I feel I'm smarter. I'm much more confident of living this life. I'm much more like educated. And I'm hoping that, I'm able to educate the next generation and also other women out there who have so many questions like we all did, I'm sure. All I can say from my journey is that no one other than a cancer survivor or a patient understands the emotions. Friends and families move on, but I feel like we as cancer patients, we live at gunpoint for the fear of recurrence. So my mantra is how are we going to try to live a better life and, overcome that. It's not going to go away, but I think it's more like how are we going to overcome it on a daily basis. So I'm learning about myself and my journey, and I think it's evolving every single day. And I think it will. People always say that you got this, you're stronger than you are, but I don't think that that resonates with me. It actually makes me pretty angry. So that's why I started this blog called Cancer Got the Wrong Bitch. And I think I just use that to talk about my own emotions daily. I have no friends on it, no family members. It's just raw out there about things and feelings that I have every single day. And how, we can add some type of humor to make this journey of what we have left, in a much better way. So this one quote that I think resonated with me, and that's how I'm going to end, is mastectomy hadn't made me disabled, but I felt understandably unstable. Had I lost my humor along with my tumor? No, I just left it on the operating table. So that's me. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Shay. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to end your post too. So we will go over to Paige now let me unmute you so that you can talk. So I think you can unmute yourself, I think. See, part of the humor is me just figuring out computers. Yeah, it looks like she's good. Okay, so I'm going to bring you on in, and we'll hear from you now.
All right. So my name is Paige Schaefer. I am from Lexington, Kentucky. I was diagnosed last September at 26 with stage 2B IDC breast cancer. So my blog post was called An Awkward Hangout. So I was playing Cards Against Humanities with friends one night, and I could not stop giggling whenever I picked up a certain card, which is obviously not a new thing for this game, but never had a card spoken to me on such a personal and spiritual level. The card was one titty hanging out. So for a little backstory, I had a bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction. So important thing to note is that they cut through the nerves in my chest, leaving my new and improved boobies a tad bit numb, AKA totally numb, no feeling. So this has proven to be a tad bit of an issue more than once. So we've only been together like a few months. I got them in May, and they have a whole mind of their own. The first time I found out this was going to be a problem was after my radiation consultation. I had a great appointment. The team was making me feel really comfortable. We were standing by the door and we were joking around, talking about cats. And I looked down and my entire right boob was hanging out. And I had no clue at all. Couldn't feel a thing. Nobody said anything as I just like casually reached down and closed my gown back and covered my chest. I mean, they'd literally just seen me topless on the table, so no biggie. Flash forward a few weeks, sitting at home and wearing a shirt that I've worn countless times. But this was the first time I'd worn it since my surgery. And I did opt to get smaller implants than I had previously. So the shirt was pretty baggy and loose before, but let's see where this is going, right? I looked down and there it was again, my whole right boob hanging out. It's a really good thing that my friends are used to getting pictures of my chest by now, because of course I took a video and sent it to them so that they could laugh at my new life problems with me. I said something along the lines of this being a new normal, having to check and make sure that I was not walking around with one titty hanging out. A few people responded with the counterpoint that I should do it anyways. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't pictured people's reaction to one nippleless titty hanging out walking down the street, but I don't think they're ready for it yet. So I'm going to keep laughing and sending the videos to my friends, and maybe someday we'll get there.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. I mean, who hasn't been there, who has a boob that you can't feel?
Yeah, nobody warns you about that.
Nope, nobody says that you're going to become a flasher on the side. Thank you so much. Now we go to Christy to share.
Hi, my name's Christy, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 rectal cancer at the age of 38 2 years ago, and I live in New Orleans. So my blog post was, but wait, it's okay to laugh, spelled B-U-T-T. So ass cancer is the butt of all jokes. I mean, what's not to laugh at? After I got done crying about my initial diagnosis, I tried to see the humorous side of cancer as much as I could. The way I was diagnosed was ludicrous, something out of a movie. I was in Ireland, walking around Cork's city center when I had a seizure. The seizure was caused by a brain tumor that metastasized from a rectal tumor. I was full of this bullshit from my butt to my brain. I almost always laugh in uncomfortable situations. It's my coping mechanism and way to break the tension. I oftentimes can't help it. I've had many times where I was having a serious moment with the boss and I just started laughing. I seriously wondered if they thought I was nuts or if I wasn't taking the situation seriously enough. It's not easy to be so open about what's inside my butthole. Casually talking about your ball of movements isn't your typical conversation fodder, but sometimes your baubles come up at the weirdest moments. I was standing on my front porch one afternoon when I saw my next door neighbor's handyman. I hadn't seen him in a while, so he asked me how I was doing. There was no hiding the truth with my bald head, so I told him I had cancer. A religious man, he asked if he could pray for me. I said yes, despite not being religious myself. He wanted to put his healing hands on where my tumor was. It's on my butt. Okay, he said without missing a beat. I let him put his hand on my hip instead. He said a prayer that I don't remember, then took off like it was no biggie that he essentially asked to touch my rectum. Colorectal cancer got less than half of research funding than breast cancer. People want to save the boobies, but fewer people want to save the butts. Look, I get it. It's uncomfortable to talk about colorectal cancer. If anything, having butt cancer has broken down the stigma for me, and hey, everyone poops. I've learned to take advantage of poop puns and have become open about sharing my cancer experiences both on social media and in my writing practice. I forgot to mention that I'm a writer, but by me being more open about my cancer, I've encouraged others to get screened and to listen to their bodies more. I had my routine colonoscopy recently. Everything went great, by the way. So I decided to share some of the experience on my Instagram stories as a way to tell people that having a colonoscopy isn't a big deal. Is it fun? No, hell no, it's not fun. But getting butt cancer is even crappier. Several people thank me for breaking down the process for them, so the discomfort of TMI was worth it. Now, go get screened.
Oh my goodness. Love it. Love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. I too use humor as a coping to cover up for when things are stressful or whatever. So that's how this all came about. So thank you so much. Well, now everybody unmute yourselves. So everybody's unmuted. Just a couple ending questions I'd love to get your thoughts on. Kind of as you were thinking about humor in your cancer, what did you kind of identify as what has been the role of humor in your whole experience with cancer? Why has humor been important to you and something that you wanted to share with others?
So for me, my husband actually is on dialysis as well and needs a kidney transplant. So he's kind of been through this before, and that has always just been his go-to, was really dark, morbid humor.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just kind of rubbed off. Like, don't get me wrong, I was always one for dark humor, but once I got sick, it became like my go-to. I'm like, if I can't joke about it and have fun about it, like, what's the point? Like, it makes it so much easier to just talk about, and it makes it less uncomfortable for everybody else if you're able to laugh about it. And then you're able to really share your story and put it out there. And, young people get cancer, but cancer's a thing. Like, we have to talk about it. We may as well make it fun while we're doing it. It's kind of been my theory.
Yeah, I agree with you. Anybody else?
I think for me it was humor came, I would say, wasn't there initially, but I think to the point that was said right now, that I think when I started talking to friends and started telling people about it, and I saw all those awkward situations where people don't know what to say or they just look away. I think that's when I realized I have to bring some humor back to even talk about it. And today what I see is that's the only thing that when you're having a crappy day, you think of something funny and move on, because otherwise that crappy day could be a crappy week.
Good advice. Yeah, for sure. Christy, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just kind of by nature use humor in like a lot of situations in my day-to-day life before I had cancer. So it was just kind of natural for me to do that. And sometimes I use humor in just different situations. Sometimes it's kind of using humor as a kind of like a coping mechanism for myself to kind of like soften the blow what I'm going through. And sometimes I use humor as a kind of coping mechanism, or kind of like an aid to kind of soften the blow for others when I'm talking about something. And then sometimes I have that like dark humor and I'm laughing about something, and then I realize how horrific it is to somebody else and they don't get the joke. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm the only one that finds, cancer funny. So
Yeah, I've definitely been in those situations where someone's like, this is not funny. This is not the time to bring that joke up. And you're like, oh, you're right. But I find it so funny. Yeah, I know. I've been in those situations where I've been told to rein it in a little bit. Everybody's doesn't have that same kind of humor. But no, I mean, in this place, in this community, totally. I mean, that's what we try to promote. So how have you used humor in any way to cope kind of with this pandemic, or even just kind of dealing with like the new normal that exists right now, even aside from cancer? I mean, has humor been any way that you've used it to get through all this stuff going on in the world?
I mean, I see honestly the pandemic as a blessing for me, because it was just after my surgery. I don't have any social events to go to. I didn't have to dress up, so I don't have to show anything. So I, on those crazy, evenings when, you think like, oh my God, when is this COVID going to end? I'm like, I look at the brighter side and see that if there was no COVID, I think I would feel this cancer even more and this surgery more. So I think I look at that as a blessing and we laugh about it.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to look at it too, because it allows you to heal or to take time to kind of just appreciate the life we have and everything. So yeah, no, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I would think we were kind of the same way whenever everything like lockdown and quarantining first started happening. We're like calling everybody rookies. We're like, oh, we've got this. Like we've been doing this for months at this point. Like, you know, I'm going through chemo. Like I'm not going out and doing things. Like it's just a few weeks. You guys got this. And, you know, turn into more than a few weeks. But hey, now they get to experience what we've been through. So, but like, yeah, we're still calling people rookies. Like we are seasoned pros at this now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was in treatment going through chemo when the pandemic first hit. So it was just kind of like, it was just really, are you kidding me? Like, you know, I'm like, it was just so ludicrous that like I was going through cancer and then there's a pandemic that hit, you know, it's just like, and so it kind of became a joke almost that's like, this is so ridiculous. Like what else could like possibly happen, you know? So that's kind of how I got through it. But yeah, you're right. Like I have heard a lot of people in the cancer community talk about how like everybody now is getting a taste of kind of what it feels like to have cancer. You know, just not knowing what your health status is, not knowing, you know, how you're gonna, you know, if you're gonna be okay from day to day, you know, having to like I was a pro at wearing a mask the previous year when I was going through chemo the first time because I have to wear a mask for 3 weeks. So I was like, oh, this is old, you know, this is old stuff, you know. So yeah, it's been really interesting, and maybe the silver lining of this pandemic is that maybe people will be more empathetic towards others. You know, I hope there's got to be some positive thing that comes out of you know COVID. So
no, that's so true. No, it definitely is. I mean, there definitely has been, I've seen articles where they've said like the things you can learn from cancer patients about how to cope with the pandemic. I've seen a lot of those because it's true. There's things that we've learned that people didn't understand or appreciate until now. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. So anything else you guys want to add or anything that comes to mind on this? Otherwise we will say goodbye. So anything anybody wants to add? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for participating in this. And we will make sure to share it and so others can see and laugh at your stories and also just kind of feel hopefully less alone. So thank you guys so much. Hope you have a great rest of your evening and I'll see you on social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you.